Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Madam Secretary. It's wonderful to see you back. And let me just begin by thanking you for the very admirable way that you have represented our country. Many of us are extremely proud and know it's a very, very difficult job that you have, and you do it very well on our behalf. I also want to follow up with what Senator Bond said, that I specifically appreciate your partnership with Secretary Gates to marry the hard power of our military with the smart power of our diplomacy over the long run. I believe that is going to pay huge dividends, and it's been missing in the last several years, and you have really filled the bill there. I also want to acknowledge, as Senator Mikulski said, thank you for always putting women in the forefront of this debate, because, as you know, women can be the drivers of economic growth and social stability around the world. They are often left out at our peril, because no plans really work without them being at the table, and I think often they're left out, but with your leadership, they have not been. In one particular area, Madam Secretary, I wanted to ask you some questions, and this is about something you and I have worked on for many years together, and that is the rights of the world's children, particularly orphans. This has been in the news from day one in Haiti, but it really should be news all over the world, because conservative estimates have about the number pegged at somewhere about 143 million orphans. We don't know the real number. We know that there are some issues with those definitions. UNICEF's definition is a little bit different than other definitions, but my point is this, or my question is this. Senator Inhofe and I and other members in a bipartisan way have introduced a bill called the Families for Orphans Act, which is pending before the Foreign Relations Committee of the Senate now. This bill would establish in the State Department an opportunity to focus on the plight of orphans and to promote the simple but profound concept that actually children belong in families. They don't belong in institutions. They can't raise themselves on the streets. That if we want to stop trafficking, if we want to stop exploitation of children, prostitution of children, the best thing to do would be to put them under the watchful eye and care of a family. So that's what our bill attempts to do. Could you give us your views about our efforts there? If you're familiar with the specific aspects of this bill, please comment. But what are your general views about what we could do to focus our efforts and the world's efforts to really connect orphans to families that need them, or children that need families?
Well, Senator, let me start by acknowledging and thanking you for your passion about this. You and I have both worked together on this and talked over many years about it, but you've been the leader. You have really demonstrated a heartfelt commitment to the world's children in so many different aspects. I share that commitment, and I am looking for the best way forward, how we can realize the positive results that we both seek, because I share your conviction that, you know, the best place for a child is in a family. And it may not be a family with a mother and a father. It might be grandparents. It might be older siblings. It might be aunts or uncles, or even in some societies, extended families. And so there are three areas that I think we have to focus on. One, there is in many parts of the world no capacity for absorbing orphans, and no real sense of adoption or fostering in any organized institutional way. So I think we need to up our outreach to provide education, technical capacity to help countries, because in some countries, adoption is really against the culture. And so if there's not some blood connection, the child has nowhere to go. And I think there's a slow change in this, but we have to do more in a public diplomacy outreach way, and I'd like to work with you on that. Secondly, in times of crisis, we have to have our systems in place. We certainly saw that in Haiti, because there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's confusion in any disaster. So we're working on kind of a lessons learned from disasters, from conflict situations, about what more can be done. And we need high-level advocacy. We have a children's office in the State Department. It would be, my preference that we sort of build that up because I want it embedded. I don't want it to be, I don't want this to be an add-on. I want it to permeate. What I'm trying to do with women is to permeate the department so that women are part of the policy. If you're serving in Europe or Africa, or part of the policy if you're doing outreach in Angola. We are just going to try to permeate. I want the same attitude about children. So we need better education, more technical capacity, more direction and support. And I'd like to work with you to make sure that what we're doing will actually have the results that we both seek.
And I appreciate that, and I thank you for pointing out that in many countries of the world, there isn't the same urgency or appreciation for the strength of families that exist in America. But just that people can't appreciate that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the right thing, and I appreciate your commitment. One figure that I want to throw out today, because these figures are hard to come by, and some people throw up their hands and say the problem is overwhelming, we can't address it, but I want to leave you with these numbers. If you just took 50% of the estimated orphans, Secretary Clinton, that would be roughly 70 million children. There are 2.5 billion families in the world. So if only 2.5% of families in the world, only 2.5%, opened up their homes and their hearts, there would be no orphans left in the world. So while these numbers are overwhelming, when you put them in perspective to how many parents would adopt, how many families want to open up their homes, how many churches, synagogues, and mosques are willing to step up, it's just the government enterprises have to get themselves better organized. So I know you're a great leader in this area. I look forward to working with you, and I know that your position is generally against institutional care and for care and families. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership on this issue as well.